first night, I couldn't sleep. Not because the house was strange, because it was too familiar. I knew the sound the third step made when you pressed too hard. I knew the sighing wind under the hallway window. I knew the whistle of the kettle from the kitchen. But there was one sound I didn't remember. The ceiling fan turning inside room 5. Slow, steady, like a lullaby that never started singing. I lay in bed and listened to it spin for over an hour. The soft, rhythmic creak, like the house was clearing its throat. I thought about getting up, just to peek, just to check that everything was still the way it always had been. But I didn't. Somehow I already knew what I would see. The door closed, the fan spinning, nothing else. The next morning my aunt made tea again. Jasmine, soft and floral. She didn't ask how I slept, and I didn't offer it. There was something polite between us. Not distance, more like a shared agreement not to look too closely at anything we didn't want to disturb. At breakfast, she slid a small plate of cut fruit toward me, watermelon like when I was 8. No rind, edges smooth. I chewed slowly, listening to the silence in the kitchen. There was no music, no clock, no ticking of anything mechanical, just the faint hum of the refrigerator and the occasional creak of the ceiling boards expanding in the heat. When I went upstairs that afternoon, the air near room 5 felt cooler. Not cold, just untouched. Stillness layered over stillness. I paused beside the door, placed my palm against it. The wood was warm, like sunlight had passed through it earlier, even though the hallway never got direct light. I leaned in, just enough, not to listen, but to feel. Something in the air on the other side pressed back. A weight, not threatening, not strange, familiar, but with the kind of familiarity you don't earn, you inherit. I stepped away. That evening, when I passed the door again on my way to bed, I saw a small thread caught on the doorknob. Pale green, cotton. I touched it. It was soft, clean. I didn't tell my aunt. Later that night, as I lay awake, I thought again of what my mother used to say. Your aunt's used to being alone now. Maybe, but I was starting to think she hadn't been alone in years. The fan in room 5 didn't stop. Not on the second night, nor the third. It kept turning, slow and even, like it was trying not to disturb the walls around it. I never heard the door open. Never saw my aunt go in or come out. But the soft hum was always there after midnight and gone by morning. Like it knew when to be silent. One evening, as we were washing the dishes, I asked gently, "Do you sleep with the fan on?" My aunt looked up at me, just for a second, then smiled. "No, sweetheart, that room gets cold enough." She didn't say anything else. That night, the fan returned, and with it, something else. Not loud, not urgent, just present. The sound of pages turning, not fast. One by one, paused, then another. Like someone reading with care, making sure not to fold any corners. I pressed my ear to the wall between the rooms. Nothing. But when I moved away, it returned. like it didn't want to be heard up close. I stayed quiet. Then, around 3 a.m., a soft laugh. Faint, airy, the kind that slips out when someone reads something familiar, a joke they've heard before, but still smile at. It came only once. Then silence, the fan, and then again nothing. The next morning, my aunt was already in the kitchen. She made tea for 2. "You slept well?" she asked. I nodded, but my hands trembled slightly when I held the cup. The tea was warm. The house was quiet, but I couldn't stop thinking, if room 5 wasn't used, why did it sound like someone still lived there? That day, I passed by the room more than once. Not to listen, not to open, just to observe, to test whether the house would react. The door stayed shut, always the same soft white paint, peeling at the edges like it was politely holding itself together. But something had changed. The light underneath the door, barely visible, now flickered gently, not like a faulty bulb, but like the kind of flicker a page makes when it's being turned under a lamp. I leaned down very slowly and placed a small bookmark, one from my old school books, against the doorframe, just barely sticking out. A tiny, silent question. That night, I didn't hear the fan. I didn't hear pages. But at 3:27 a.m., I heard something even smaller. A chair leg adjusting, wood against wood, as if someone had gotten up and pushed it back in, careful not to scrape the floor. And in the morning, the bookmark was gone. Not fallen, not on the ground, just gone. No mention, no comment. My aunt handed me tea again, like always, her smile the same. But when she turned to rinse her cup, I saw a sliver of green cotton thread on her sleeve, the exact same color as the bookmark's tassel. I didn't say anything. Neither did she. But I think we both knew someone had seen it. And someone had made the effort to put it away neatly. Because someone still lived in room 5, and they were trying very hard to keep it exactly as I remembered. I didn't move the napkin. I left it exactly where it was, just below the photo, right where the edge of the hallway light kissed the wood. The handwriting was precise, small, almost shy in its neatness. It was the way my aunt used to label things when I was little: school books, lunch wrappers, notes inside my suitcase on the train back to the city. You always hated mess. The words weren't just about the rug. They were about everything. About the bookmark I never left crooked. About the way I folded my towels in 3s. About how I used to straighten the curtains in her reading nook without thinking. I hadn't realized it until now, but someone else had. Someone who still remembered, even when I had forgotten to. I looked back at the photo frame on the wall. It was straight again, perfectly aligned. I reached out, not to touch it this time, but to look past it. There, behind the glass, tucked barely behind the backing, was a small folded paper. Old, yellowed. I slid it out carefully. It was a drawing, crayon on lined notebook paper, a lopsided house, a round sun with one eye, 2 stick figures, one tall, one small, and beneath them, 3 words in blocky, childlike print. M-E-N-D. I didn't remember drawing it, but I remembered the red crayon. That night, I stood by room 5 longer than usual. I didn't listen. I didn't leave anything at the door. I just whispered, soft as I could. I remember now, nothing answered, but I didn't need it to, because that morning, the napkin was gone, and in its place, a tiny hand-sewn bookmark, green cotton, edges frayed, the same one I lost on a school trip in 5th grade, the one I cried about, the one my aunt had said gently, maybe someone picked it up for you. Maybe they had. Maybe they never stopped. I stopped asking questions after that morning. The napkin was folded exactly the way my aunt used to do when I was little, triangle edges, pressed flat, tucked under her teacup, like a quiet habit. I said nothing. Neither did she. That day moved slower. I didn't notice time passing so much as I noticed how carefully everything seemed to stay still. I began walking softer around the hallway, avoiding the edge of the photo, ignoring the way my name was still faintly scratched into the wood of the banister. A quiet reminder of a summer that had never been cleaned away. That night, I stood outside room 5 for a long time. No sound, no fan, no shifting chair, but I felt it, something weightless and watching. Not a presence pressing in, but a presence pulling gently back. Like the door was no longer a boundary, but a choice someone else had made to keep a line soft instead of closed. I whispered, "Die," and the silence didn't answer, but it stayed. Not that night, not the next. The fan never turned again. No pages, no quiet laugh, but every morning something changed. A book I hadn't read placed exactly back on the hallway shelf, with its spine aligned just right. A shawl I left in the living room folded neatly and laid across my bed, as if someone still remembered how I liked it. Not too tight, not too flat. 1 sugar cube in my tea without asking. Just one. And once, just once, a note folded into the front pocket of my jacket. No name, no flourish, just 2 soft words. Familiar, small, still here. I didn't open the door after that. I didn't need to. I had already entered something far more intimate than a room. It was only months later, after I had moved out, and the seasons had changed without asking permission, that I found the obituary, dated 2 years ago. Her name, this address, a rainy Tuesday I never knew past. They said the house had been empty since, that the room had been left untouched, that no one had gone in, that no one could. But I remember the smell of lavender, the sound of her soft steps on the wood, the way she never asked me why I came back, only made sure, gently, that everything I remembered stayed where it had always been. And now I understand. She never left room 5 because she knew I'd return. And if anything had changed, even a little, I might not stay.